I paused at the entrance, expecting applause or at least recognition. Instead, I stared at floral arches stitched with my sister's initials, balloons spelling her name, and a slideshow of her childhood photos looping across giant screens. Guests chatted excitedly about Melissa's big day, ignoring my dress, bouquet, and stunned expression. My mother waved proudly from the center stage, as if unveiling an achievement years in the making. Even the cake, 5 tiers of perfection, displayed my sister's face in edible gold. I felt my stomach twist. The planner looked confused when I asked for clarification, then quietly pointed at a revised schedule listing Melissa as the bride. Every detail confirmed it. My wedding hadn't been mismanaged.
It had been reassigned.
And I was the only person who didn't know. The moment I walked further in, relatives barely glanced at me. They clapped for my sister as if she were royalty descending upon loyal subjects. My uncle whispered something, and a group erupted into laughter, staring directly at her sparkling gown. Another surprise I hadn't approved. The bridesmaids, originally chosen by me, now surrounded her like personal attendants, adjusting her veil and escorting her table to table. I overheard my father brag about her perfect choice of husband, even though I was the one getting married. No one asked about my fiancé, my preparations, or my nerves. My contributions, time, and savings were invisible. Every eye worshipped her presence, as though destiny had always belonged to her. I realized then, I wasn't part of this family gathering. I was financing their fantasy. As I tried to process the chaos, the best man avoided my gaze with surgical precision. He fumbled with his cufflinks, scanning the hall as if expecting something or someone to appear. When I approached, he flinched, muttered congratulations meant for someone else, and hurried to my sister's table. His phone screen flashed messages I couldn't read, but his panic was unmistakable. My fiancé looked equally uncomfortable, his smile stretched thin, like a hostage trying to cooperate. Then, the best man slipped a folder into my sister's hands. She smirked, nodded, and handed it to my father. The exchange wasn't accidental. It was rehearsed. This wasn't confusion. This was coordination. Whatever they knew, it was bigger than decorations. And for some reason, I was the last person they wanted informed. The microphone cracked, pulling everyone's attention to the stage. My father straightened his tie, placed a hand on my sister's shoulder, and declared, "Today, we honor the daughter who never disappointed us." Applause thundered across the room like a verdict. He listed her adult achievements, ignoring every milestone I had reached without their help. People clapped for her ambition, her creativity, her future, stories I recognized as mine. My fiancé tried to interject, but my father silenced him with a raised palm. I stood motionless, trapped in a celebration that pretended I didn't exist. My name had vanished, replaced by a narrative crafted to elevate one daughter and bury the other. At that moment, humiliation wasn't an emotion. It was a public sentence delivered with confetti and champagne. A waiter approached with an envelope embossed with the venue seal. I opened it, expecting a courtesy receipt. Instead, I found invoices totaling more than I'd ever budgeted: decor, catering, musicians, even personalized napkins stamped with my sister's initials. My signature sat at the bottom of every contract. I recognized the handwriting, but it wasn't mine. My stomach dropped. Checks I never issued, approvals I never gave, and deposits drained from my account. I turned toward my mother, hoping for clarification. She shrugged, saying, "Family helps family." But this wasn't help. It was theft wrapped in sentiment. I realized they weren't celebrating her. They were rewarding themselves using my earnings. My absence from this narrative wasn't accidental. It was funded, orchestrated, and executed at my expense. As conversations swarmed around my sister, an elderly aunt beckoned me closer. Her voice trembled, not from age but conviction. She whispered, "They believe Melissa deserves everything you worked for. They think you're too independent." Her eyes held sympathy, not malice. She explained how my family feared my success, convinced it threatened their hierarchy. My sister, groomed since childhood as the family trophy, Couldn't stand that I achieved milestones she never reached. My wedding became the stage for their correction. They weren't honoring her. They were reclaiming control. My aunt squeezed my hand before stepping away, leaving me with clarity sharp enough to cut through denial. This wasn't jealousy. It was entitlement passed through generations, finally reaching its crescendo. As I watched the crowd champion my sister, memories resurfaced like unpaid debts. Birthday gifts I never received, allowances redirected to her, accomplishments dismissed as accidents, and endless lectures about knowing my place. My sister never asked for privileges. She was conditioned to assume them. Every celebration, triumph, and opportunity was handed to her while I was labeled the responsible one, expected to function without reward. Today wasn't a sudden betrayal. It was the grand finale of a story written long before adulthood. My wedding simply exposed their truth. My role was to build, hers was to take. Suddenly, the decorations, speeches, and contracts weren't shocking. They were predictable. I was witnessing the final chapter of a lesson my family never thought I'd question. I walked past the applause, past the stage, past the lies. At the registrar's office, I requested a document transfer. The clerk looked surprised as I handed proof of forged signatures, unauthorized payments, and misused funds, all linked to my parents. With a calmness I didn't recognize, I signed the final line, revoking the event license and reporting the financial misconduct. The venue manager halted the reception mid-song. Lights flickered, and panic replaced joy. My family called my name for the first time that day, but not out of love, only fear. I left without turning back. They built a celebration on my foundation. I removed the ground beneath it. That was the moment I stopped.